Tyson Fury has thrown the boxing world into chaos with his latest comments, saying he would bet £1 million that Jake Paul would knock out Anthony Joshua. Fury, grinning as always, insisted he wasn't joking, telling Ring magazine that he believes Jake Paul chins AJ 100% and calling it a genuine 50-50 fight. He went so far as to say he'd back his money on it. He liked Jake Paul's new look at heavyweight, a bit chubby, a bit bulky, and praised the YouTuber-turned-fighter for recently beating an aging opponent, although he couldn't resist poking fun at that opponent's condition. Fury's comments sparked a tidal wave of reactions, most of them disbelieving, with fans and pundits questioning whether Fury was trolling to bait Joshua into a fight with him instead, or if he genuinely thought Paul could pull it off. Jake Paul, never one to shy away from a high-stakes moment, jumped on Fury's comments and declared that he would bet £10 million on himself to beat Joshua. Paul reminded everyone that he's been exchanging DMs with Joshua and claimed that Joshua even called him personally to push the fight idea forward. He said the plan would be to stage it toward the end of 2025, with a full bout in early 2026. Promoter Eddie Hearn has confirmed that conversations are real. Hearn said Jake Paul is absolutely the front runner to be Joshua's next opponent, admitting that he's been in direct talks with Paul's manager Nakisa Bedarian. Hearn called the whole idea bizarre and extremely dangerous for Jake Paul, but conceded that commercially, the fight would be huge. Hearn's tone carried that mix of disbelief and business calculation. "I can't sit here and tell you this is a 50-50 matchup," he said. "I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. The boxing world wants AJ to go in there and evaporate him from the sport so we can all get on as normal. But the bizarre thing is Jake Paul genuinely believes he'll beat Anthony Joshua. Paul has been framing this fight as more than just a money grab. In interviews, he says boxing needs revitalization, and he's the man to bring it. He describes himself as a breath of fresh air who can attract younger audiences that normally wouldn't follow the sport. He claims a fight with Joshua would be a global event, not just for boxing fans, but for everyone. He says he's willing to take on the most dangerous challenges to prove people wrong. People just want to see me lose, Paul says. That's really the message behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been deeming back and forth, he wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year. Meanwhile, critics are lining up. Many believe Paul's recent fight with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson shows a troubling pattern, choosing opponents for spectacle rather than genuine competition. Carl Frock has been openly dismissive, suggesting Paul's wins are more about entertainment than skill. Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua, one commentator said. AJ might have taken a big loss to Daniel Dubois, but Dubois is no joke. Jake, I respect what you've done, but this is madness. Some analysts think the fight is already 90% certain because of the marketing moves they've seen. They point out that Paul recently went face-to-face with Alexander Usyk, which they believe is a setup for a future Saudi Arabia showdown involving AJ. Obviously, Jake Paul's going to fight Anthony Joshua, one insider said, and possibly there's going to be an Usyk versus Tyson Fury trilogy after that. But you never know with boxing. Hearn continues to warn Paul about the danger. He says the money might be obscene for both men, but the risk is catastrophic for Paul. It's a fight I don't think should happen if I'm honest, Hearn said. If you want to see Jake Paul exit boxing, make the fight. AJ will end it quickly. Hearn points out the mismatch in size, power, and experience, comparing it to when Joshua knocked out Francis Ngannou. Jake Paul's not Francis, he said flatly. Andre Ward, the retired champion, sees Paul's antics as more of an entertainment circus. Ward said that if someone like Paul had called him out during his career, he wouldn't have taken it seriously. I don't have time to entertain the circus, Ward said. When you're in the fire and in the game, you've got real opponents to worry about. I don't have time for my name to be linked to a guy who's not a real fighter like that. But you know how it goes. People say they're not interested until the number gets large enough. Amanda Serrano, Paul's friend and fellow fighter under the MVP banner, defended him. She said critics call him a fraud for wanting easy fights, then call him crazy when he asks for the toughest ones. She pointed out that Paul has been linked to possible fights with Canelo Alvarez, Gervonta Tank Davis, and now Anthony Joshua. "Who else is doing this?" she asked, before admitting with a laugh that maybe he is out of his mind. Dan Raphael added fuel to the speculation by repeating the claim that Paul was actually scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis if Davis had beaten Lamont Roach. That rumor has yet to be confirmed, but it plays into the narrative that Paul is willing to jump weight classes and chase big names. Saudi boxing chief Turki Al-Sheikh has openly encouraged the fight. He revealed that Paul had verbally accepted and even agreed to a staggering 99-1 purse split in Joshua's favor. Al-Sheikh framed it as a win-win for everyone. Joshua gets paid, Paul gets a shot at legitimacy, and the fans get a spectacle. Not everyone's convinced. Some commentators say they can't see the fight happening for health and safety reasons. Jake Paul is maybe a cruiserweight. Anthony Joshua is a big, strong heavyweight. If he turns it on, it's not just a knockout risk, it's much bigger than that, one analyst warned. It doesn't sit well with me. Roy Jones Jr. has a more measured take. He says the fight could happen if Joshua wants it, and if it's smart financially. Jones believes Joshua would do to Paul what he did to Francis Ngannou, but admits it would probably make Joshua more money than any other fight right now. Why wouldn't he do it? Jones asked. It's a perfect win for him, and he gets paid. Other voices in the boxing world are calling it nonsense. Where am I on this? I can't see it happening, said one veteran broadcaster. Yes, there's money, but health and safety have to matter. This is a guy who's been unified heavyweight champion going in against a YouTuber who's maybe a cruiserweight. It just doesn't sit well. Stephen A. Smith has been one of Paul's loudest critics. He says Paul keeps fighting people who are not boxers or who are well past their prime. Smith challenges Paul to fight someone his own age who is an active contender. At some point, if you keep telling us you're serious about boxing, you have to fight somebody closer to your age who lives with it every day, Smith said. Paul fires back at this line of criticism by pointing out that nobody remembers the early fights of legends like Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali. Everyone's seen all my fights, he says. I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he pulled out with a rib injury. I've tried to fight undefeated young prospects. I've tried to fight guys in their prime. Despite all the noise, Paul keeps pushing for high-profile opponents, even outside boxing. He's expressed interest in Conor McGregor, claiming his skills are improving while McGregor's are declining. Critics scoff at that claim, but Paul insists it's part of his strategy to keep challenging big names. Tyson Fury's initial comments continue to echo through the debate. Some think he's serious, others see it as a mind game aimed at Joshua. Fury praises Paul for calling out fighters from featherweight to heavyweight and says he likes that Paul is willing to face anyone. The story has become a global talking point because it mixes so many elements: sports, spectacle, money, and pride. On one side, you have a two-time heavyweight champion who's fought the very best. On the other, a celebrity fighter who's built his career on defying expectations and playing the villain. Somewhere in the middle, promoters and power brokers are calculating the payday, and fans are imagining every possible outcome. For now, the fight isn't signed, but the momentum is real. Jake Paul insists it's happening. Anthony Joshua hasn't shut the door. Eddie Hearn is in meetings. Saudi Arabia is ready to host. And Tyson Fury is ready to put £1 million on the line that Paul will do the impossible. If it happens, it will be one of the most polarizing events boxing has ever seen. If it doesn't, the talk alone has already achieved what boxing promoters crave most: attention. And until a contract is signed, everyone in the sport will keep weighing in, debating whether Jake Paul is about to write the wildest chapter yet in his unlikely boxing journey, or whether Anthony Joshua will simply erase him from the sport with one brutal night's work.